Michigan International Speedway, the site of round number 16 of the RSR Asphalt Assault Series, presented by Inside Sim Racing and Derek Spear Design. We are getting ready for 80 laps around this 2-mile super speedway. Tim Terry, Dakota Ehrman, and Laura Lawson here this evening. Dakota, this is going to be an exciting race. We go from Rockingham last week, a 1-mile racetrack, up to this massive super speedway, wide open spaces, and we're going to see some fast speeds.
Fast speeds and draft luck, I would say, as these cars are going to be probably nose to tail most of the event all night long, just following in line. It's definitely going to be interesting. I think all night long it's only going to be racing. You won't see too much of somebody breaking away either. It's definitely going to be interesting here, Tim.
We went to the Rockingham Speedway 1 week ago, and 150 laps there. It was Bobby Terrell coming out with the victory. Dave Lanza comes home in a second. Rhett McBride sub comes home in position number 3, and I can't remember off the top of my head who was subbing for him, but they did lead 13 laps in that race. Clint Monahan, Mark Bratcher, top 5. Stefan Marinek, John Abbott, Matt Lacrosse, Steve Almindo, and Brian Harvey, your top 10 in that race. And it was a little bit of a shorter field, Dakota. There was a couple of drivers really didn't care for the Rockingham Speedway, but it put on some fantastic racing, and it's another one of those racetracks that goes towards this points championship. It's 36 races long, and every single point can count. And with Bobby Terrell getting that win, he moved up a little bit in the standings.
You know, it might have actually been, John Higman Jr. I think might have been the sub for Rhett McBride, but I can't remember off the top of my head. And a lot of the guys really don't like Rockingham. It made for really good racing, though, really interesting racing on the racetrack. When you talk about standings, we talk about standings heading into Michigan. Stefan Marinek, he's got a 57-point lead now over CJ LeVere. After LeVere finishes 13th last week, he loses a few points overall to Marinek. Bobby Terrell sitting third after, I do believe, winning last week. It's another win of the season. He's 74 out of points leader. Stefan Marinek, Matt Lacrosse sitting fourth, 80 out with Jose Gonzalez fifth, 98 points out. Clint Monahan sitting sixth. He is 115 points out, but only 3 points ahead of John Abbott, who sits seventh. Rhett McBride sits eighth. He is 132 out, with Brian Harvey sitting just 10 points behind him in ninth, and Eric Brundy's 20 points behind him in 10th.
And when you look at this racetrack that we come to this week, it's a lot different than that Rockingham Speedway 1 mile. At Rockingham, 2 miles in length here at Michigan, and as Dakota mentioned, it's a drafting racetrack. We're going to see a little bit of pack racing. You're going to have to let up a little bit going into the corner just to breathe that throttle a little bit to keep your momentum up here. Your turns are banked at 18 degrees. Your start-finish straightaway, your front straightaway banked at 12. Your back straightaway banked at 5 degrees. And it's known as one of the premier oval racing facilities in the country. Favorite test track among teams, D-shaped configuration, and it's one of the fastest on the circuit. They did repave this racetrack in 2012, but with iRacing's current model, we do not have that repave at this point. I'm sure that will be coming fairly soon. And, of course, the Motor City, Detroit, just up the road. We're in the Irish Hills of Brooklyn, Michigan. And when we look at these corners here, drafting is everything here at this racetrack. Keeping the car wound up for a long race can be demanding on setups, drivers, and engines. Although the corners are gentle, look to see drivers using different lines to get most cooling and drafting to get around this racetrack. And we usually see long green flag runs. Wouldn't be surprised to see a pit stop here this evening as well. And I drove this racetrack, Dakota, in a truck about a week or so ago, and I'm not sure how big it is with this B-class car, this nationwide car, but there is a seam on the bottom of the racetrack, and if you're not handling the way you want to, if this setup isn't handling the way you want it to, albeit we are running fixed setups here, you get that seam, you hit that seam the wrong way, and it's going to send you for a little bit of a loop, and you're going to have to hold on to that race car as you go around this racetrack.
I think that's really, even if the car is handling exactly how you want it to, it can be very uncomfortable. You hit that seam, the car goes straight around. There's really nothing you can ever do about it besides try to run above it. Sometimes you just occasionally move down, try to get more speed through the corner, and you might just clip that and put yourself around. So you got to be very careful running through the corners, especially in 1 and 2, 3 and 4. Not quite as bad with that, but I would say it's still really decently bad there, where you just clip that and turn. Almost like super speedway though, in the way that you might even see guys pushing on the front straightaway, back straightaway, try to make up time, pull away if they can, but they cannot do that in the corner. You have to watch for them to back up in the corners and get plenty of room, and then try to chase each other off the corner to get that big gap.
And when you look at the comers and goers for this week's race, we have Douglas Wyatt gained 3 spots in the points up to 13th. Rhett McBride and Brian Harvey each gained 2 to get into the top 10 in the standings, 9th and 10th respectively. Mark Bratcher has 2 top 5s in the last 3 starts. Clinton Monahan has 3 straight top 5s. When you look at the goers, you have Doug Fleming missing the top 20 the past 2 weeks. Joey Hilton's been moving back on his season averages and needs a good week to rebound. And Wyatt Wolf Jr. loses another 4 spots in the standings to 16th. And the one thing that we really didn't look at a whole lot, Dakota, is that battle just barely outside the top 10 in the standings. You have Glenn Campbell right now sitting at 400 points, and then you look back to 17th place Jimmy North. He's sitting at 374, so there's only 26 points in between those drivers. You have Glenn Campbell, Douglas Wyatt, Bo McGuire, Joey Hilton, and Wyatt Wolf Jr. Those 2 drivers there that we mentioned, comers and goers, Joey Hilton and Wyatt Wolf. There's 2 drivers there that really need to start picking up their game. And with the points being so close, I know it's early in the season. We're just into that halfway point. Every point can count. And with good runs from them this evening, they could go from just barely inside the top 15, or if you're in the case of Wyatt Wolf, just outside the top 15, and be clawing your way and trying to scratch your way back up into the top 10.
I could, but with the goers, when it comes to it, they don't have the momentum in their favor right now. They really have to get the momentum going back in their favor, get the finishes they need. But as it stands, I mean, when you go into a racetrack after Rockingham kind of bad to look at stats. You come into a race like this, and it's just nothing like the past week. You might have saw some fast cars last week, like Rhett McBride and the guys that won the race. The fast cars last week, and as I pulled this back up, you see the top 5 was Bobby Terrell, David Lanza, Rhett McBride, Clint Monahan, Mark Bratcher. You see those guys might not be near as fast here tonight because this is a completely different racetrack from Rockingham Speedway, and that's going to make it even more interesting when you look at the goers and the comers. I mean, they could have just had a bad week past few weeks, come to a track like this, and it'd just be one of their favorite tracks, and they go up there and do extremely well and get the finish they need to get the momentum back in their favor.
And as you mentioned, draft momentum, everybody is so close to this racetrack. And you look at qualifying times right now, there's 26 that have taken time with a couple of moments to go before we hit the grid for this race. Your pole sitter turned a 40.023. Looking back to about, let's say 23rd place, Augusto Gabaldoni, it's a 40.6 essentially. So 0.6 of a second thereabouts between essentially your whole field at this point. So it's going to be very close within these drivers. A lot of these drivers up front are going to be running close. It's 80 laps. They have a long way to run here this evening. It's just a matter of how much the patience really starts to get in there and set in and see what we have. Some of these guys at the back might not have had a great qualifying run, and they're going to have to go to the front in order to be there at lap number 80. We are going to go trackside here now, and we are going to get our national anthem opening ceremonies out of the way. We want to welcome in the Cactus Cuties. They're going to be singing us through our national anthem this evening. We'll head trackside now.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
And we are getting ready to go racing at the Michigan International Speedway for 80 laps. And let's go down our starting grid here now. CJ Levere going to be on the pole position of 40.023. And look who's on the outside here, Dakota. Great qualifying run for Josh Chaney in the number 11.
Bobby Terrell, last week's winner, going to roll off in the 7 machine in 3rd position, with the 47 of Eric Arnold going to be on his outside in 4th, making up row number 2.
Row number 3 sees Matt Lacrosse on the inside, number 21 to the outside. One of those drivers that we talked about locked into that top 12 battle in the point standings. It's the 50 of Beau McGuire.
Stephen Marinak sitting 7th on the grid in his 24 machine, with the 15 of Brett McBride rolling off 8th on his outside. They complete row number 4.
And completing your top 10, it's the 44 of Glenn Campbell. He's 12th in the standings. And completing your top 10, it's the 66 of Brian Harvey.
84, Jimmy North going to roll off 11th, with the 1 of Clip Monahan rolling off 12th.
13th is the 97 of Nathan Little to the outside, a driver who had a great run last week, Steve Almindo in the 81.
John Abbott in the 10 machine going to roll off in 15th position, with the 88 of Adam Roberts rolling off in 16th. They will roll off in the 8th row.
17th place position sees the 56 of Wyatt Wolf to the outside, J. Randall Watkins, 27.
John Eller is going to roll off 19th in his 09 machine, with the 92 of Jason Lester rolling off 20th on his outside.
21st starting position belongs to the 65 of Ed Williams Jr. to the outside, 85 Nathan Bowers.
Augusto Gabaldoni can roll off 23rd in his number 69 machine, with the 71 of Keith Brooks Jr. rolling off 24th.
The Zaloop number 38 of Mark Bratcher will complete your top 25 to his outside as the field begins to roll. It's Justin Wilson, 32.
Joey Gattina going to roll off 27th in his 14 machine, with the 28 of Doug Fleming on his outside. Neither of those guys take time. I believe they were the first to not take time.
Two of those drivers in that top 12 battle or so in the point standings. Douglas Wyatt going to start on the inside of the next row, number 12 and 29th. And completing your top 30, it's the 40 of Joey Hilton.
31st is going to be the 62 machine of John Wilco, and on his outside, the 48 of Frank Coons.
And completing your field of starters should be the 98 of Stephen Herring and the 33 of Guy Snyder the 4th, though I do not see either of those drivers on the racetrack right now. So they will likely have to start from pit road as this field is working down the back straightaway. We are getting ready to see green for the first of 80 laps this evening here on ETV Live, powered by the HD Radio Network. Glad you could be with us. CJ Levere going to lead us to that green flag. He's second in the standings with Marinak leading this field here in the standings. He's going to start position number 7. So CJ Levere going to try to maybe get out here, Dakota, and lead some laps and maybe make some points up here early.
You know, that's what he's got to go for. He's going to make up all the points he can. I know we were talking about him. Dover looking to make up some points. Came a little short after starting up front, or in front of Marinak. He wasn't quite able to make up as many points as he would have liked to. I don't know that he actually made up a point at Dover, but it looks like we could have a similar story here.
Pace car in and the 4 is gone. Green flag flies for the first of 80 laps, and a great start for CJ Levere. Josh Chaney in the number 11 going to fall into line here in position number 2. It looks like Terrell going to clear the number 50 of Beau McGuire. McGuire up to position at number 4 here on the start of this race, with Rhett McBride and Matt Lacrosse battling for position number 5. Lacrosse going to take the spot.
And he jumps up right in line in front of the 15. 15 is going to pull the crossover, shoots down to the inside, going to be side by side. He's at the bumper, going to look to be next to the doors. They head side by side to turns 3 and 4. It looks like the 15 had the corner entry. Usually you have to have a pretty good arc at most tracks. 15 might have got too low, gets a little loose, and that's going to cause him to lose some time. 21 prevails on the outside lane. You only have to have an arc, not quite here in Michigan, though. If you're side by side, being in that second groove, it's enough to really make the corner and outdrive the guy above you. Loose tires or the cars are loose on the fresh tires here, though, is what I've been hearing.
Glenn Campbell just went for a slide in corner number 1, and they were going 3 wide down there, Dakota, and I don't think there was enough room for 3 wide, at least with the room that the 81 and the 44 were giving each other. Glenn Campbell going to fall way back in this running order. He's behind the 56 right now, which would be 17th place, as the 44 going to go back at it on the 56 for position number 16 as they come up out of corner number 4. 2 laps completed, and maybe a sigh of relief from driver number 44 as he works underneath the 56.
Yeah, going to be side by side with that 56 machine across the line. Scored 17th last time by. So as the scoring updated, he's pushed up the turn. Like he pushed up the racetrack in turn 1 when he got underneath the 56, but looks like he'll be able to carry enough momentum to clear the spot and pull up right behind the 27 machine, just behind the 56 though. Looks like Justin Wilson looking to get the spot if he can, but he kind of fell off there.
Keep a half eye up front. The 4 of CJ Lavera has company, and you mentioned draft lock off the top of the show, Dakota. We got 5-6 cars in a line right now, and Josh Cheney in the 11 was putting on a whole lot of pressure on your leader, CJ Lavera. Bobby Terrell, Bo McGuire, Matt Lacrosse, and Rhett McBride's barely on this train here in the 15 car. Oh, contact! The 50 and 7 make contact. He nearly goes around. We keep it straight. We stay green. But there's another one of those oh crap moments in the middle of the corner as the 7 car was pointed towards the infield.
That was last week's winner, making that incredible save. He's able to hang on to it, gets back underneath the 21, and Matt Lacrosse, again, last week's winner, as he hangs on, takes the position over the 21. 21 going to fall back on the outside. Here comes the 15 of Rhett McBride looking for the spot as well, as the 7 now looks to run back down the car that sits in front of him, and that is the 50, Bo McGuire, who has moved up to the 3rd position.
And look at all these cars it closes in. Everybody had to check up for that number 7, and now you have Matt Lacrosse to the inside as the 7 continues to be loose on that outside line. The 15 on the inside of Rhett McBride. It's going to close in 66, the 81, the 88, the Clint Monahan in the number 1. Jimmy North is making some moves. Marinek is back here in this gaggle as well. Everybody trying to find their footing right now, and it's going to be like this all night long. You're really going to be in traffic unless you're, let's say your top 2 right now who are out by a second is Almindo in 81. Looks underneath the 66 of Brian Harvey as they play a little bit of a game down the front straightaway, and Harvey will throw a little block to keep that position. Almindo is going to look at him into corner number 1, and looks like nothing doing so far. Going to try to poke that nose, try to get a run underneath, but I don't think the 81's going to get there.
And it can't get too low, or else he will get loose, could get that seam and knock the car sideways, so he's got to be very careful when he tries to get underneath Brian Harvey in the 66 machine. When you talk about the leaders having over a second lead, that can be used to their advantage to see how close right now they're running to each other. Not much of a gap between them. Exiting the corner, in the corner, they're pretty much staying together, and that's giving them the opportunity to almost push down the straightaway. You see the 11 gets to the bumper of the 4, going to maybe push him here a little bit. They're keeping their speed up that way and able to actually pull away by another 10th that time by.
Dakota mentioned the seam. I see this battle back here with the 84 of Jimmy North, the 24 of your point leader Marinek, and the 88 of Adam Roberts. We'll watch this battle down into corner number 3 here, and you'll be able to see the seams in these corners. You see the black marks around this racetrack as the 84 drives it in really deep into that corner. Looks like he'll pick up the spot, and he's straddling one of those seams right now, and he will pick up the position. And you see these drivers, Dakota, not running on the low side in the corner. You see them get down towards that white line on the straightaway. They don't want to be there in the corner because, as you mentioned before, gets these cars a little bit loose, throws them for a little bit of a loop as they run the second and third grooves up there. You can see them really defined there by the seams.
And if you were still watching the 84 there, if we had still had the camera on the 84, you saw the 1 car. He was coming off the corner. He was a little lower than the 84, and you saw the 1 car just got pretty big sideways, or just babbled enough, and that was compared to the 84 behind him, who was a little bit up, was able to keep the car straight. He made up a lot of time. 84 pushes up the track. Currently, though, at 88, going to shoot underneath him. That is Adam Roberts looking for position number, I do believe, 10.
And there's your point leader as well back here, Stefan Marinek in the number 24, watching this battle in front of him between 84 and 88. And this isn't uncharacteristic, the last few weeks at least, of Marinak. We see him early in the season, Dakota, run up front, qualify well, and stay there. But it seems like this last month or so, he'll either have a good qualifying run, then pit early and lose a bunch of track position, or he'll qualify poorly. And as you see right now, he's running outside the top 10 as he looks underneath the 84 of Jimmy North, coming up at a corner number 4 this time. 9 laps of the 80 completed as Roberts also involved in this battle. Marinak has the opportunity, really, Dakota, to play these games. He's got over a race advantage in the point standings. A race is 48 points from first to last if we have a 43-car field, and he's got a 57-point advantage on second, so he's got a full race on everybody in this series, the Asphalt Assault series on Thursday evening, so he can have the opportunity to maybe play a little bit of this game and maybe have a little bit more fun trying to come from the rear or the middle of the pack.
Yeah, and it looks like right now we're just kind of riding around behind these guys. You look at the 88 cars underneath the 1, and I mean, he kind of was a little low there, a little concerned there, but it looks like he's hanging on, going to be side by side now down the front straightaway across the start-finish line as they're battling for that 9th position. 88 has it at the start-finish line, and looks like he's going to be way up the racetrack entering 1, but able to get the position. 1 car looking for the crossover possibly, though. Got to make sure he does not get the same and get a little loose maybe. Looks like he's alright, but not going to have the momentum he needs coming off the corner. 88 clears him, comes back down in front of him. But when we talk about that 24 car just kind of riding around there, he does have that 1 race advantage. He can kind of just do whatever he wants right now, and I think you're seeing he's just kind of riding around, being easy, and the last few races I've noticed when the 24 finishes up front lately, it's like he kind of comes out of nowhere at the end of a race, like he's just been riding around, just taking it easy, and you're seeing the 24 car now, just playing around, I think.
And we've seen it in a couple of races as well. There's just in front of this battle, it looks like the 66 of Brian Harvey going at it with the 50 of Beau Maguire. Maguire was up in the top 5, and now he's going to sit outside the top 5. He was looking at position number 5 in the 66 of Harvey to the outside, and it's not going to work. He's going to fall back into line here. And that's exactly what it seems like. It seems like he's just not up front as the 81, 15, and 88 nearly have a moment back here as they get close in corners number 3 and 4. Stefan Marinak will be back in the back of the pack, and then he'll work his way up, and maybe through attrition. We've seen some of these races, especially late in the going, where there's a couple of cautions and there's a couple of drivers fall out, and if you miss it, whether you are the point leader or whether you're dead last in points, if you're running 20th in the field and there's 3 or 4 cars that wreck in front of you and you make sure you hold them off on the last restart, there's a top 15 finish for you. So it just, a lot of those guys looking at attrition and possibly trying to hold off guys behind them that might be a little bit slower, have a little bit of damage as the 15 and 81 go at it. The 15 pitched it in on the 81 of Almindo. This is the battle for 7th as the 15 of Rhett McBride going to try to take it here as the 88 of Adam Roberts also looks to get in here.
And the 88 now coming to the bumper of the 15. Looks like he might be able to push the 15 by the 81. Possibly 15 has the arc into the corner. He's going to take the spot. 88 now side by side, door to door. He's at the bumper, and it looks like he'll clear the 81. 81 got loose on the outside, shot backwards, and now those two, and actually 3, as Clint Monahan sneaks by as well, set their sights on Brian Harvey. Adam Roberts is moving up to the field very quickly here. He's come from outside the top 10 to pretty much inside the top 10, looking for as many spots as they can. Very, very quick here, though. It's appearing in the 15 laps into this event, just about.
He had a great run 2 weeks ago, and I'm trying to remember the racetrack, trying to dig it up here in my notes. I believe it might have been Charlotte or Dover, that he was having a top 10 run and finished well in that race. And Adam Roberts has had some great runs this season, but really doesn't have a whole lot to show for it. He's going to try to look for another one here as he looks underneath Rhett McBride and tries to solidify that 7th place spot that he had the last time across the stripe. And now Monahan looks at the 15, the 24, the 84. Also going to look at Rhett McBride. McBride on the outside line, and it looks like he's going to be kicked back here a couple of spots. What a run by the 24 of Marinak to the inside of Monahan. He'll look to pick up position at number 8 here as they come back across the stripe. The 84 of Jimmy North is here as well. The 81 of Almindo. You'd think they were battling on the last lap. Contact made between 15 and 84 as they go down the front straightaway. We're only working lap number 16 of 80, but these guys, I'm sure, are having a blast inside these race cars. Look at Jimmy North come up the racetrack and almost into the 1 of Monahan. He goes for a slide. Great save by Jimmy North.
Hill's going to be throwing wide for just a moment. He's going to be all right. Slips right up behind the 81 and gets himself gathered back up. 10 cars is behind him, but giving him plenty of room. You talked about the 88, a good run a race or two ago. I actually looked it up. It was last week, Dover Speedway, and he finished 4th. So a very good run is what he's coming off of, and trying to do the same thing as he's currently in the 7th position, looking for 6th.
Great battles here throughout about your top 15 or so. CJ Lavere continues to lead up front, but that battle, as you mentioned, around 4th, 5th, 6th or so, is starting to heat up. Bobby Terrell in the number 7, trying to hold off Bo McGuire. Brian Harvey, the 88 of Adam Roberts, has come into the front, and he's got the 24 in tow of Stefan Marinek. Marinek trying to follow some of these drivers to the front of the field, and maybe he's going to pass the 88 here. On the inside, the 50 of Bo McGuire is there, and he's going nowhere. The 24 was going to go to the inside, and now they might go 3 wide as the 88 thought about sticking the nose on the inside of the 66, as up in front, Josh Cheney goes to the top of the board. Cheney now has a battle on his hands, battle for the lead, heating up the 11, the 4, and the 21. Matt Lacrosse going to try to come to the front as well. The first lead change happens on lap 17. Down the back straightaway, the 21 and the 4, side by side, up in position number 2. Matt Lacrosse trying to take the lead away from the 11. Josh Cheney trying to lead his second lap of the event, as they will come up, I believe, on one piece of lap traffic. Guy Snyder the 4th, and just in front of them, they got one more car there, a Wyatt Wolf, as they battle for the position. Cheney will lead this lap, the 21, and Matt Lacrosse will try to go to the outside here, maybe, as he's got the 4 helping him to the outside, as CJ Lavere trying to go now to the inside, as they get single file through corner number 2 and down the back straightaway. We work lap number 19 of 80. Your top 3 single file as the 21 flashes the nose to the inside of the 11. We could have our second lead change of the evening here, as Matt Lacrosse dives it in hard. The 11 lets him have it, and Matt Lacrosse will go to the top of the scoring pylon, this time by at a corner number 4. Matt Lacrosse will lead his first lap here at Michigan. Now the 4 of Lavere all over the back of the number 11 of Josh Cheney.
How about Matt Lacrosse, points leader in the Outlaw Truck Series, which we broadcast last night, Wednesday night. Finished 11th, I do believe, and that was not here at Michigan. And he comes in with a decent amount of momentum, looking for a strong run. CJ Lavere, though, trying to get back up there. Remember, he has to make up as many points as he can on Stefan Marinek, who is kind of working through the field a little bit.
The 11 of Josh Cheney looking over that number 21 of Matt Lacrosse. And you mentioned that Outlaw Truck Division. They were here a week prior to last night at the Michigan Speedway, and he had a wreck, got swept up in one of the incidents. So he didn't have a very long run, per se, at the Michigan Speedway for Matt Lacrosse, or a competitive run. He was running, I believe, at the back of the pack, trying to salvage every point that he could. But now up in front in this one, Josh Cheney had to hold off the charge there from CJ Lavere in the 4. Lavere looked underneath, but could not make the move happen. Now they run about 2 car lengths or so off Matt Lacrosse for the lead position. We have passed the quarter pole in this race. 21 laps being worked on the board of the 80, and it's been green so far. Fantastic racing. A lot of respect shown by these drivers here, as we'll come up at a corner number 4 and see 21 complete. When do we see these guys on pit road, Dakota? Do you know anything about the fuel in these B cars?
Well, I don't quite know, honestly. I would say when you think about it, probably within, we're about 21 in. I would say, within 30, between lap 30 and 40, I would think would be probably the most beneficial time to come down the pit road. You got to think right about at 40 laps, I'm being told by Laura Lawson, camera operator. So, I mean, you really got to stretch as far as you can, because, if you can make it on one stop, you're better off. If you have to come down for a second and, so others can make it on one stop, then you might be hurting, because you'll lose a whole lot of time when you have to come back down pit road. So probably around 40.
You mentioned that they're 40 laps. It's an 80-lap race. If you can do it on one stop and not have to really lose a whole lot of speed to save fuel, you should be fine. And we're hearing as well now that it could be 43 laps or so. Laura's telling us in our ear. So we could see those guys stretch it a little bit. If you can go 40, 42, 43 laps, it gives you those extra couple of laps, Dakota, of buffer room per se to keep it off, as we have the 21 bouncing off the wall, the 4 to the inside, and CJ Levere going to toss it in. The 21 tossed it in there fairly hard too for losing a lot of momentum on that back straightaway. The 11 of Cheney going to go to the inside, and we're going to have our third lead change of the evening. It's going to be CJ Levere going back to the point.
The 21 slid, got up to the outside wall. The 11 shot down. The 4 car shot to the middle when it looked like the 21 was coming down even further and scared the 11 down. That was an interesting series of events, and I put the 4 car back up front in the lead out of CJ Levere. Watch the 11 car using a little bit of the seam trying to help the car turn, but he's coming up very, very quickly on CJ Levere looking for the spot. 21, Matt Lacrosse, not really letting him go alone though, as it looks like we might have a battle for the lead, and never mind, as it looks like the 11 stays in line.
4-11-21. They are the battle early for the lead position here at Michigan in round number 16 of 36 in the Asphalt Assault Series, as the 11 gets a great run off corner number 4, and I don't want to say really know where to put it, because he could have went to the inside there. He could have got on the apron and made that move, but Cheney decides not to. The 11 now looking to the outside. He's got Matt Lacrosse there, but Matt Lacrosse not close enough to make a move. 4 car up the track a little bit, as we got 1 car spinning in front of them. That's Wyatt Wolf in the number 56, I do believe. We should stay green here.
Should stay green here is up front. 11 and 21 going side by side. 21 was to the bumper. The 4, 11 shot underneath. They're going to lose a little time with the leader here, as it looks like the 11 has not quite cleared the 21 yet. He does it off of the corner. 11 car hangs on strong. 21 not going to give up though. It looks like never mind. He falls back in line possibly here. I don't think he's done here in this battle for the second position though.
And as they did that, it lets the 4 of Levere open up 2 car lengths more on the battle for position number 2. So it's about 3 car lengths or so between your top 2, and then the 21 of Matt Lacrosse just on the back bumper of Josh Cheney as they roar down the back straightaway. Looks like a run coming up from Cheney to the number 4 of CJ Levere. Can he get there before corner number 3? 21 has to check up a little bit as they catch that number 4. The accordion comes back through together as they come up at a corner number 4. 26 laps completed this time by for the 4, the 11, and 21 as look back there quickly. It looks like Bobby Terrell is single file with a bunch of other cars back there, so it looks like the battle that was 2 and 3 wide at times for that 3rd place spot or 4th place spot, check that, Dakota, has got single file for at least 4th, 5th, and 6th.
And they're about 2.2 seconds back, trying to run down the leaders possibly. That's why they might be in line. You got to think that the leaders ran away, kind of just sitting in line. Maybe they're trying to duplicate that, mock them, run in line and try to run them down while the leaders are race a little bit, and that might be enough to do it here. We'll just have to keep our eye on the when the times update, how far back they are from the leaders. As you watch the second pack comes off turning before we cross the line, scoring should update in just a moment, but it's not looking like actually the leaders kind of running away from the second 2 or from second, third maybe, but they're not really gaining a whole lot of time back there in that second pack.
And you saw there off corner number 4, the 11 of Cheney got close to the wall off corner number 4 that let the 21 go to the inside, and Matt Lacrosse will pick up position number 2 as they'll have to once again reel in that 4 of CJ Levere. It seems like those drivers either have a misstep in second or third, and then it lets the leader get out by 3 or 4 car lengths, and then that accordion comes back together, the draft comes back together and brings them all back to single file formation. And you mentioned it, we've seen a lot of these races in this series that go green flag once we get a little bit of a rhythm into the race, and we could very well see this go green through the pit stops. And if you are doing a green flag pit stop here at Michigan, you definitely want to have, number 1, some friends. Number 2, you definitely don't want to lose any time on pit road, because that could very well mean the difference between being in this pack that we're seeing here for 1st through 3rd, or being back there 4th through 7th, or even deeper in the field, as Matt Lacrosse had a run down that back straightaway, just had nowhere to put it going into corner number 3.
Yeah, when he fell off at the 4, he fell off big time. Looks like he's coming back up to the bumper now, but the 11 car all over him. That's Josh Cheney hanging on strong. 21 though, he's still looking. I think you got to give him time here as he kind of backed up the corner. He's going to get a good run through the center and off of the corner. He seems to be really, really good, I believe, off 4 and building up his momentum. Definitely looked really good in 1 and 2, but I'm not sure exactly about 3 as he gets again to the bumper and has to check up. He's a little bit more than he'd like to. Maybe did a little bit better that time getting to the corner as he comes back up to the bumper of the 4. Not really going to let him go here.
Matt Lacrosse running in position number 2 and looking for that lead position. Just want to update you as well that Adam Roberts had some connection issues to the server. He's fallen out as the caution flag will fly here as we'll slow him down for the first time this evening. And just to complete that point, Dakota, Adam Roberts 5 laps down. He's back on the racetrack, but he's going to need some help.
And the caution flies for the 84 machine of Jimmy North, 9th position. Looks like coming across the start-finish line for lap 30 or 31. He's on lap 30, and it looks like it starts coming off turn number 4. He's side by side with the 15 of McBride. 81 of Steve Almendo just behind him. They come off the corner side by side. 81 up the race, or 81 on the bumper of the 84. 84 comes up and just drives right up into the 15, and that gets himself turned. And he just kind of keeps spinning and spinning and spinning. A few cars get to the garage just to miss him. Oh, he got collected by one car hard. And that was a 38 of Mark Bratcher, so that might actually end Bratcher's day there, as that was a very, very hard hit. Could have totaled the engine there.
And looks like the Mark Bratcher machine got on the brakes, just not on the brakes hard enough, and I'm sure he really didn't anticipate Jimmy North to come down the racetrack, but nevertheless, Mark Bratcher will likely have some heavy damage, if not be out of this event due to said damage. CJ Lavere is your leader, and we should see these guys on pit road. Now, here's the other thing, Dakota. We mentioned 40 to 43 laps or so. They're outside of that window to make it on one stop. So they'll have to come down here. They'll have to get a caution after the halfway point and make their pit stop then as well, because I'm sure you'd pit here now, obviously, because you've only got 10 laps of fuel left. But we could see a green flag pit stop here as well if we see some green flag running here after this green flag flies.
Yeah, I definitely think we're gonna have to say one more stop. There's no way they can make it from here, so we'll see. We'll definitely see one more stop, Tim Terry, as they come down now. We saw a pretty good run there. I think we could see another green flag run. We could possibly see green flag stops, but here we are, Ford car leading them down pit road. Probably going to be to the attention of their crews here. It looks like 21 in, and look very quickly. 4 car in. You got to watch to make sure nobody overshoots, and it doesn't look like anybody does. Going to be 4 tire stops for just about everybody here.
A couple of drivers missed their boxes. Brian Harvey did not come onto pit road, or he came onto pit road and missed his box, and there was one more that I do believe also missed his box, but Cheney is down and away, and CJ Lavere also away, but they will come out behind Matt Lacrosse. Great stop for Lacrosse. He takes the tires and fuel, and he's down and away in the Detroit Tigers number 21, 11.8 on the number 21 of Matt Lacrosse. We'll take this opportunity right now to take a pit stop of our own, because Dakota, I think we're going to see some green flag racing to this event. So we'll step away now and take a quick commercial break, and we'll be back with some more racing action for the RSR Asphalt Assault, presented by Inside Sim Racing and Derek Spear Designs.
Plus other listeners where you could hear everything from big 80s metal to classic rock and roll, country radio, ETV, live sports radio, even adult and unplugged rock and roll. HDRadioNetwork.com, one of the fastest growing internet radio networks, HDRadioNetwork.com. Take it with you, cowboy. Get the mobile app for Android, iPhone, iPad, and all the rest from TuneIn.com.
It's time for those most famous words in motorsports. Drivers, start your engines!
Michael Conti comes up at a corner number 4 in the checkered flag. He wins his first NASCAR iRacing. Welcome back to Michigan and the RSR Asphalt Assault Series presented by Inside Sim Racing and Derek Spear Design. Want to thank our partners this evening. We mentioned Inside Sim Racing. We'll talk about them in just a few moments, but Derek Spear Design is one of the co-sponsors of this series. Derek Spear Design manufactures top-shelf simulation racing components such as pedals, shifters, button boxes, and much more, reasonably priced. This is the kind of gear a champion sim racing driver needs. Bulletproof and boot stomping strong. See his gear at DerekSpearDesigns.com. And Dakota, he's one of those gentlemen that really stands behind his product. And that customer service and dedication to a sport like this can go a very long way. Check them out at DerekSpearDesigns.com. Matt Lacrosse and CJ Levere on the front row getting ready to go back to green. And I think we're getting ready to see this battle ensue again for your top 3, but do we see anybody else try to hang with these guys?
I think we might see the 11 car's been there. The 1 car, though, I think we have some guys up there that were really quick. They had started to lay down some even lap times with the leaders, and they might be able to stay with them this time. It's going to be on how they get a restart, whether they battle back there, and if the opportunity just comes for them to pull away up front. Matt Lacrosse going to be starting up front, though, after losing the lead after hitting the wall. You have to keep your eye on him and make sure he doesn't make a mistake like that again.
Pace car in, and Matt Lacrosse in command of this field. We see green, and we're back underway. Matt Lacrosse gets a great start, and so does Josh Cheney on the inside. Cheney going to go back to position number 2 here as we hit the stripe. The 1 is 7, and the rest of this field tries to chase the 4 now for position number 3 as Clint Monahan trying to put himself in this battle for the lead as the Zaxby's number 1 is there. The 50 of Bo McGuire trying to keep the 7 at bay. Back at position number 5 as we run down the back straightaway for the first time under green since the restart. We've completed 35 laps. We're working lap 35 and a half or so down the back straightaway and into corner number 3. The 21, the 11, and the 4 continue to run nose to tail.
Cross got the wall off of 2 just this lap. He actually got the wall once again. He was able to hold off the 11 going into the corner, but the 11 all over him. 21 speed just kind of reduced the overall lap, I would say. 11 car wanting to stay on his bumper, maybe push him away from this group if he possibly can up front. Those 2 working together, 4 and 1 working together. Meanwhile, it looks like the 5th place car is Bobby Terrell. He's trying to run back down a bit of a car length, a few car length gap that he has back to the 1 car, and he's got somebody right behind him, and that would be Bo McGuire.
We saw this in the first run of the race. Your top 3, top 4 or so breaking away. It's now top 4. It was top 3 on the first run with Clint Monahan and the number 1 going at it. And the one thing that we saw, especially off the hop of this one, Dakota, is we saw a lot of drivers side by side and trying to pick up positions. And we always say on these restarts, it's the easiest time to pick up positions because everybody's just so close together. Your top 6 are running single file right now, and it looked like they might have got side by side at 7th or so because there's a little bit of a gap there as Terrell and the 50 of McGuire try to chase down the drivers in front of them. The 7 goes to the inside, the 50 poked to the nose on the outside there, and really that's all it takes when you got the 4 in front of you, single file or whatever the case may be. You get a train in front of you, you get side by side, and you're there for a little while, you're going to have to play chase.
I would say so. You're really going to have to play a lot of chase and just, hope you can make up the ground that you lose and hit the, solid lap times. You're going to make sure you hit your marks. These guys really got to stay focused, and they really got to work with somebody. It's all about finding a partner, it seems like, at this racetrack, because if you get caught out by yourself, there's a very slim chance of you actually running down whoever you're trying to run down.
And you see it back there with the 81 of Almindo, and I'm trying to get a number on that car. That would be the Doug Fleming machine, the 28. They got side by side for a little bit, and they lost a couple of lengths. on the drivers in front of them, Bo McGuire and the rest of the field. And it looks like Almendo trying to make the run as Matt Lacrosse way up the racetrack in your lead position. The 11 of Cheney to the inside. Got that out of the corner of my eye, Dakota. The 21 was way up in no man's land coming off the corner, and the 11 is going to be there to capitalize. On the inside goes the number 11 of Cheney, but he can't get that run to stick on that inside line, and it looks like the 21 of Matt Lacrosse will go back up to the top of the board. But that 21 had a scary moment there up coming out of corner number 4.
I would say somebody's able to hang on to the lead. The 11 car falls back in line, and he has the 21 has the preferred line again. Up the racetrack a little bit more, and 3 and 4 maybe a little tight now as the 11 car works through the center of 3 and 4 very well. Gets to the bumper of the 21 once again. Doesn't look like he can go anywhere though. It's the 21 using the very, very bottom of the racetrack. 11 gets right to his bumper, starts pushing him down the front straightaway and into turn number 1.
Single file now for about your top 6 as Bo McGuire pitched it in on the outside line as he tried to make something happen on the 7 of Bobby Terrell. Nothing doing there. Your top 10 or so are about single file right now, and about 11th or so or 14th or so, somewhere back there. It looks like those guys are trying to pick off some quick passes, but nevertheless, everybody else is single file as we just crossed the halfway point. That last time by, we have 41 completed right here as the 50. He continues to try to rubber up that outside, Dakota, as he tries to go to the outside of the 7, and as they do that, they lose a little bit of ground to the drivers who nearly fanned out 3 wide going down into corner number 1. They're the 1, the 4, and the 11. For second place, Matt Lacrosse leads them into corner number 2 and down the back straightaway now.
11 car falls off, fell off the bumper a little bit. 4 car trying to make up some time once again on them, and the 1 car trying to follow. 7 car kind of slowly creeping in on that group, and just behind him, Bo McGuire hanging on. Bo McGuire way up the racetrack in 3 and 4, loses a lot of time. I mean a lot of time right there to the 7 of Bobby Terrell, and that Doug Fleming behind him, 28 machine in 7th, looking to actually run down Bo McGuire there after Bo McGuire's mishap right there. And Steve Almendo sitting in the 81 machine, sitting 8th. How about Jason Lester up to 9th? I do believe I want to say qualified towards the back, actually 20th. Currently in 9th position, up 11 spots from where he started, and running up the top 10. How about John Abbott up to 10th in his 10 machine?
And he's having a great run so far. John Abbott trying to close the deal and get a great run here in this event to try to get him a little bit closer to the top of the board when it comes to the point standings, as he's had a rough and tumble season so far, not the finishes that he has wanted out of the 10 team. This time by 43 laps completed for Matt Lacrosse, Josh Cheney, CJ Levere, Monahan, and Terrell, your top 5. And it looks like Bo McGuire has fallen off the back a little bit of this battle in the number 50 car, who runs in position number 6. And you mentioned these top 10 a couple of moments ago. Doug Fleming, Steve Almendo, they're running nose to tail right now, as it looks like out of the corner of my eye. Monahan might have had a bobble. He was looking to the inside of the 4 of CJ Levere. Levere now looking to the inside of the 11 of Josh Cheney, as it seems like they have those runs, and maybe they're trying to not do anything right now with them, trying to conserve a little bit here, maybe ride a little bit, as a couple of games being played down the front straightaway between the 21 and the 11. Matt Lacrosse will continue to lead it, and he'll lead lap 44.
A line of cars up front just kind of moving around there, as everybody's pretty much with the leader now, or at the top 5 or 6 cars just kind of in the line there. The 28, the first car out of that line, 7th position, looking to run down that group in front of him to the best of his ability.
The 4 of CJ Levere looking at the 11 for the spot, and it's not going to happen there. Matt Lacrosse will continue to take the point in this one. And speaking of point, trying to find your leader, your point leaders, the 1 and 4 go down the racetrack there. We might have 3 wide for position number 2. Monahan going to pull the fender out of there, and oh boy, it was close to having the farm bot going down into corner number 1, as the 4 will pick up the spot on position number 2, and they almost made contact for position number 3, as the 11 of Cheney might not have anticipated the number 1 going down on there in corner number 1. Now the 7 and 50 have closed up again. We have a battle for position number 2 on our hands.
It was a battle, and the 4 takes the spot 11 car back to the bumper, and I think he was looking for the crossover if he could get it, but the 4 car just carrying so much momentum, and that creeping up on the 21 very, very quickly. He'll have the run. It's going to be whether he can, get the positioning to get underneath that 21 machine, as it looks like he almost had it, but he's not quite going to have it going into turns 1 and 2. He's going to get to the center, maybe a little bit better than the 21. Never mind, not quite a whole lot better, but definitely trying.
And it's also closed in. Doug Fleming on this battle. Almindo is trying to drive his way up to this battle as well. So we have Matt Lacrosse leading a train of about 7 cars right now as Josh Cheney in the 11 falls back a little bit. The 4 of CJ Levere runs in position number 2 with Monahan, Terrell, McGuire, and Fleming in this pack as we complete lap number 47. While it is single file, and I'm sure once I say this, they'll get side by side, your point leader of Stefan Marinek in the number 24 car. He's running back in position number 20 right now, and they've got a pretty good battle on their hands just in front of them. Keith Brooks Jr. in the 71, Glenn Campbell 44, Jay Randall Watkins going at it as well. They're back there. This is about 15th, 16th, 17th right now in front of your point leader, Marinek. So Marinek's got a lot of traffic in front of him. About 6.5 seconds between himself and the leader as he goes on the number 27 of Randall Watkins.
Watching Randall Watkins currently on the racetrack. He's got that 24 back on the inside. Marinek, I don't know what Marinek's doing, honestly. He's kind of way further back than you would think he would be, for just messing around. Like we talked about earlier, he has that race advantage, but you don't want to, waste it on an event that you're running. I mean, he could, take a race off. He could, just go on vacation or something like that. Right now, he's kind of throwing that away. He's losing, a decent amount of points. I wouldn't say it's, going to, hurt him big time, but he's losing points with the way he's running currently. Up to 19 on CJ Levere, maybe 20 with bonus points.
And that's about right. Or you look at the 4 of Levere running second right now. You look at the point leader running 20th. Quick math, point per position, that's 18 points. CJ Levere's led a lap this evening as well. So there's 19 points. It was 57 coming in. You do the math, and it's still just under a race, or under that 48-point mark, just around 40 points or so, depending on where these guys will fluctuate in position. I think you hit the nail on the head, though, Dakota. He could take a week off. He could go away and still come back with likely an 8, 9, 10-point lead, but you don't really want to throw it away, and albeit we're still looking at 30 laps to go in this race, there's still a long ways to work, and Marinek has done this before in this series the last month or so. He's kind of taken the first half of the race off and really worked the second half of the race, and he's got a lot of work to do here, especially if we see some more green flag racing to this event. We should see pit stops with about 10 laps to go or so in this race, so if it stays green, about another 20 laps or so before we see pit stops. But Marinek's got a whole lot of room to work if we stay in this green flag formation, because he's 7.5 seconds behind. It's the battle for third. Heats up the 1 and the 11, going at it side by side. Cheney way up the racetrack. Monahan on the apron, and it looks like Monahan will try to pick up position number 3 here.
There's the thing you can look at. They can wait till, with about 10 laps to go, come down maybe fuel only, and pick up a big gap, and then hope that anybody that might take 2 tires doesn't run them down. They could come down, take 4, and I don't know that 4 tires are going to be the way to go when it comes to 10 laps to go. But when you think about this, they could pit a little earlier, take 4 tires, and really use those 4 tires, burn up the laps, like, lay some really good lap times down repeatedly, lap after lap, make up some good time, and they might actually be able to, make that strategy work. And so we could see, people coming down pit road very, very soon, actually, just to, top off and make sure they can make it the rest of the way, get the 4 tires, and make up some time that way. I don't know that we will see everybody come down the last 10 laps. We could see anybody, 15, 20 laps to go, come down just to, make sure that they can go and to, use the tire strategy to their advantage.
We're going to see a lot of strategy, I do believe, if this thing does stay green, to the pit stop into the completion of this event. Matt Lacrosse, CJ Levere, Josh Cheney, top 3. It looks like Adam Roberts has called it an evening. He had those connection issues a little bit earlier on in this event, Dakota. He will likely finish in 28th place or so, or actually I say that as Jimmy North is still on the racetrack and just in front of your leaders as the battle for the lead heats up. The 4 to the inside of the 21, Jimmy North on the extreme outside, and it looks like the 4 might have saw that and pulls back in behind the number 21 as the 1 of Monahan and the 11 of Cheney continue to go at it for the spot. Adam Roberts will likely finish in 29th because Wyatt Wolf not on the racetrack, Justin Wilson not on the racetrack, and Mark Bratcher also retired from this event as the 4 now falls back to the 11 of Cheney and the 1 of Monahan. He might have let out just a little bit. He saw that car in front of him, maybe anticipated going 3 wide, didn't want to do that, backed out a little bit, and you see how much momentum that he lost as they try to gain it back up as the 21 on the extreme outside here, the 4 to the inside as they will not make the move. The 84 will go probably one more lap down here. He's already 20 laps down as the 4 to the outside. Now the 11 and the 1 going at it as the 1 of Monahan had a run in the 11, can't do anything with it.
Yeah, the 4 just big time missed his line. The 21 in that front straightaway was trying to use the drive from the 84 to hang on and lead those guys. He did a good job of that because when they came up the track, they lost time. 4 car missed his line, shut up the racetrack. 11 car looking to capitalize, was not able to do so. 4 was able to carry the run off of the corner down the back straightaway, and he's got a bit of a gap now as he tries to run back down the 21. You see the 21 is again using the drive from the 84, trying to make up time. You'll see when the 4 comes up the racetrack that he'll lose a bit of time, I would say, as now the 21 goes underneath the 84. 4 position, 84 way up the racetrack now.
Way up the racetrack he goes, and it'll let the leader go by. The 4, the 11, and the 1. Next up on the list is Bobby Terrell. Lost a spot back there to Beau McGuire, so he'll fall out of the top 5, and he'll fall one more spot here as well as Doug Fleming in the 28 looks underneath him as well. So Bobby Terrell falls 2 spots in this exchange. 56 laps completed this time by for Matt Lacrosse, CJ Levere, Josh Cheney, Clint Monahan, and Beau McGuire. Beau McGuire, first time, I believe, in the top 5 in this event. So we'll see if the number 50 has anything for these drivers here as he closes in on the 4 in front of him, plus that 84, Jimmy North, who is now 21 laps down.
And, Cheney's been really strong on that. His 11 machine sitting in that 3rd position, running up front. It looked like he had something for the leader earlier on when the 4 was leading, when the 21 was leading. It's always the 11 car seems to be there, and he's not leaving the 4 car very much. I mean, he's not giving him much of a gap. 21 car, though, looking to be one of the best with the gap-wise. I mean, he's able to get a gap. He's able to hang on to the lead no matter what. It seems like when these guys are right on his bumper, he hits his marks nearly every lap, and he's able to hang on to the lead. Now, I mean, that's what you got to do to make up points. Remember, the 4 car, though, sitting 2nd in points, has to make up every point he can on the 24 car. And speaking of the 24 car, he currently sits 18th on the racetrack, 8 seconds out of the race lead, 2/10 behind the next car in line.
Down the back straightaway is Matt Lacrosse. Has a little bit of an advantage now, about 3 car lengths, as you said there, on CJ Levere, Josh Cheney, Clint Monahan, Beau McGuire, Fleming, and Terrell as they try to make their way past the 84, and then it's a gap back to the 92 of Jason Lester as Lester makes the move on Steve Almindo, and that is the battle for 8th that is just completed, Dakota, and it's about 4 seconds or 3 seconds behind your 7th place driver. So Jason Lester's a name we haven't mentioned all night long, but it looks like he is coming to the front of the field, but he's got some time to make up that probably won't be made up unless he has a lightning quick stop or a caution.
I actually heard that Marinak has some damage on his 24 machine. I'm not sure exactly how much, but maybe a little bit on the points leader machine.
Right front damage on the number 24 of Marinak, and that might be half the reason why he's back there. As the 21 of Matt Lacrosse going to lose the lead to CJ Levere in front of the field, and they were nearly 3 wide as Lacrosse was on the outside, dove down to the inside to protect that position. Number 2, the 1 of Monahan, the 11 of Cheney now there on the number 21 of Matt Lacrosse. So CJ Levere back to the top of the scoring pylon as the battle heats up for second. The 1 down on the inside of Matt Lacrosse.
and it looks like the one car going to be side by side. 21 going to lose some time. He shot way up the racetrack. When you look back here, the 21's not done going backwards. The 11 car now looking underneath if he possibly can. So you see, he slips up the racetrack, and now he's going to lose more than one spot. He's got to get his footing back. He's got to be able to get back in line, I think. Look at some of these guys' lines, get his line back. And he might be able to make up a few spots. See him still side by side with the one car. He's not giving up. 4 car way up the racetrack. He's going to lose a lot of time. So it looks like the group behind him coming up very, very quickly. Outside lane going to be open. He's going to block the inside, and that'll help Lacrosse as the inside lane won't have anywhere to go. Outside lane could prevail here, actually. Is it going to be 3 wide, maybe 4 car to the very, very bottom of the racetrack, 1 car to the middle, 21 to the very top, and it looks like 4 could be coming to pit road. 4 is coming to pit road, I do believe.
CJ Levere coming on to pit road a little bit earlier than we thought these drivers would. Josh Cheney is also going to come on to pit road here. So we anticipated these guys to go an extra 10 laps or so. And Dakota, I think we might see some of these drivers stretch it a little bit further. But Josh Cheney and CJ Levere said it's time they come on to pit road and leave the lead in the hand of Clint Monahan.
Here's what you got to watch for. Fuel only 2 tires of 4. I think that's going to be the difference in strategy here. The 4 overshoots his stall. They're in their stalls. The right side's going up on the 11 and the 4 machine. Right side is now going down on the 11. It's going to be 2 tires for the 11, and it looks like 2 tires for the 4. He was held a little longer than the 11, though.
The 1 and the 21 side by side as they fanned out down the front straightaway. The one Monahan continues to lead this race with Matt Lacrosse in position number 2. Bo McGuire scored in position number 3, and McGuire might try to lead a lap here before he comes on to pit road as he's closing in on your top 2. Looking to the inside on the number 21 of Matt Lacrosse, and they'll go down to corner number 3, and they'll have the 50 on the inside.
And 21's going to prevail on the outside lane. 1 car looks like he's coming to pit road, so that's going to be Clint Monahan coming to pit road. That leaves the 21 car to the race lead, and he's got the 50 car just behind him. 21 really good in 3 and 4 on the outside lane as he made up that spot, but 1 car to pit road.
So the 1 of Monahan comes on to the attention of his crew. We'll see what they do on the Zaxby's Chevrolet, and it looks like they are going to overshoot the box to begin with. That's not a good start. Looks like right side tires at least for the number 1. That overshooting of that box could mean a lot when we look at the end of this stop. 2 tires down and away for the 1 of Monahan.
Yeah, he's going to come out at... I don't know that he's going to lose a whole lot of time or make up a whole lot of time. I think we'll see is right behind him should be CJ Levere going by, and Levere shouldn't be alone. Levere was alone, but and just in front of him is going to be Josh Cheney. So definitely losing time here, being out on the older tires, I think, or maybe he had a slow stop, something of the sort. But I mean, he lost a lot of time to those guys in front of him.
We're going to see how this all cycles out when everybody does come down pit road. Matt Lacrosse scored as your leader. Bo McGuire to the outside. Fleming, and it looks like Almindo, but I think Almindo's been on pit road already as Matt Lacrosse. And the number 21 dives onto pit road here, so the leader will come on to pit road and will surrender the lead to Bo McGuire in the number 50. We'll see what Lacrosse does here and see if he does anything different than some of the drivers that have already been on pit road on this sequence, as the 21 has to work his way down to the far end of pit road, and this pit stop comes on lap number 66. He slides into his box, and it looks like he's going to have to go back a little bit as well, so the 21 overshoots, and he'll go right side tires. At least it'll be 2 tires, and the number 21, will he go 4? No, down and away goes the number 21.
Very quick to get those tires down and get out of the stall, so he's hoping not to lose a whole lot of time to those guys behind him. Look for the 11 to go by. 11 just went by, and the 21 will be getting up to speed. He's going to be on 2 tires, so he might be able to run the 11 down, but it could be really close. 11 got a pretty good gap. And now the 4 car just now coming around the 21. That'll help the 21 actually get up to speed if he has the draft. And you can't forget that 1 car who was the 3rd car, who just recently pitted. He shouldn't be too far away from the 21 car and might be able to help him get up to speed as well.
Bo McGuire is on to pit road. He was your former leader in the number 50 car. Right side's going on, and they are going to take 4 tires on the number 50 of Bo McGuire. Doug Fleming scored as your leader now in the number 28 with Terrell in second. Brian Harvey, Jason Lester, and John Ellers scored in your top 5 to complete the 67th lap of this race.
How about Terrell up to second once again? With all these pit stops happening, he's been kind of moving back up to the field. Last week's winner, looking to capitalize as he's going to have to come down pit road soon. You're going to have to watch for him. What I'm surprised is that we're not seeing any fuel-only stops. You can see fuel-only. Maybe they're on pit road a little less longer. I mean, they don't have to take a whole lot of fuel, just 10 laps worth of fuel compared to the 30 or 40 that they could take. And, I mean, they could take no tires, get out very quickly, and, not lose a whole lot of time. But then you have to look at the time that they lose to the guys on 2 tires. And that could be interesting and extremely close.
Top 2 stay out here. Looks like Brian Harvey comes down onto pit road in the number 66 car, so that'll put the 66 onto pit road. And we talked about this stint being about 40 laps, or can go about 40 laps, maybe a couple more on the fuel and on everything on these race cars. So it looks like Fleming, Terrell, Lester, Ellers, and the 24 of Marinex still out on the racetrack as well. It looks like they're going to stretch it as far as they can here, Dakota. The 7 of Terrell has the 50 of Bo McGuire underneath him. Bo McGuire is going to try to unlap himself. But Fleming, Terrell, and Lester, your top 3, and they've stayed out on the racetrack so far. And looking back through the field, looks like everybody that's still out on the racetrack is trying to stretch it as far as they can.
We look at the the difference between the guys that have already pitted. You look back to Josh Cheney, I believe the first car to come down pit road. He came down with CJ LeVert just about a second, I wouldn't say a second. Actually, I would say over a second behind Cheney, and that's LeVert that's a second behind. And Matt Lacrosse just behind LeVert, as actually he's went around LeVert trying to run down Josh Cheney if he can. I mean, there's just so much of we have about 2 seconds now that they've lost just in the cycle of pit stops, overshooting, or just a slow stop overall.
Doug Fleming continues out in front, and Fleming's leading a few laps here, but really he was in this battle, in this train that we saw before these pit stops started. So Fleming, no surprise that he's up front after the way he's been running in the first half of this race. Now he's leading a few laps, and we'll see what kind of pit stop sequence goes through once they come to pit road. The 7 of Terrell in position number 2, and Jason Lester was that car that was 4 seconds behind the top 6 battle, or top 7 battle that we had, and now he's sitting back in third, 5 seconds behind, and trying to keep pace with those guys in front of him, about 5 seconds up, as Terrell looks at the number 28 for the lead coming out of corner number 2. He'll poke the nose underneath the number 28, but I believe Fleming might be coming down onto pit road either this time or next time, as the 7 tries to take the lead away here.
And he does. He actually, 7 car Terrell going to get around the 28 of Fleming, takes over the lead. 28 now coming to pit road. 7 car going to stay out another lap, but the 28 car coming down to pit road, watching any cars behind him. Most of them staying out. 92, who's scored third, he comes down pit road. That's Jason Lester. Marinak stays out. He's going to be moved up to the 2nd position. As we look back to the field, looks like Fleming on pit road for 2 tires. And he's going to drop it, be away, or should be away. Very slow getting out of his stall there, as Lester also in. And it looks like, I do want to say, he was 2 tires as well.
Terrell in the number 7 scored as your leader, and he comes into corner number 4. Does he decide to come onto pit road here? He is going to stay north of the pit road entry, and he will lead lap 73 on the racetrack. 7 laps remaining. And now the question is, how far can you go? I think he might have been hoping for a caution here, Dakota. But these drivers that are out in front of your leader, we talked about 43 laps or so. These guys had that caution on lap 30-31. They still have to save a lot of fuel in order to get to the end of this race. When we look at it, it is Josh Cheney who is out ahead of these drivers that have already come on to pit road. So as long as these drivers pit in front of it and it cycles through, It'll be Cheney out in front of the field as the 7 of Terrell going to bypass pit road here again. 74 laps completed, just 6 laps remaining.
Yeah, I don't know exactly. We're thinking 43, around laps. And I don't know exactly how far it can go. So this is definitely interesting. He could have been saving fuel. That could have been why he had fallen a little ways back. He draft big time. You can save fuel with the draft. I don't honestly know, but you see Marinak, he's 10 seconds behind Terrell. You got to think 24 car definitely could have been saving fuel, and he's got a whole lot more time to save fuel. As he's got about 10 seconds or 19 seconds over the the first car that I see has actually been down pit road and completed his stop, and that is 10th place of Josh Cheney.
And you look at the drivers in front of him. He's got 9 in front of him that are a little bit slower, but not by much. John Wilco, John Randall Watkins, or J. Randall Watkins, Glenn Campbell, Guy Snyder, John Abbott, Rhett McBride, John Ellers, Marinak, and your leader, Bobby Terrells. John Ellers has thrown his hand out the window that next time by, he's coming on to pit road, so the 09 car going to abandon his strategy. Is this time by, we'll have 4 laps to go for the 7 of Terrell, but does he come on to pit road here? The 7 car going to stay out, and we will have 5 laps remaining, or 4 laps remaining, check that, for Bobby Terrell right here.
Watching the 7 car right now for a water bottle out the window, maybe for a caution or something of the sort. Not quite seeing a water bottle though, as he stays out off of turn number 2. He's going to have to hang on. I mean, this is a lot of fuel to save here with 4 to go.
Stefan Marinak, John Ellers, and Rhett McBride have abandoned that strategy. They're all on for a splash and go. Abbott, Snyder stay out on the race course. Glenn Campbell stays out, and J. Randall Watkins. Those are your top 5, or those are the ones that have stayed out on the racetrack. The 7 continues to stay out. 77 completed, 3 laps remaining, and he's got a half track or so on the second place driver. So he's got a long way to go still when you look at the fuel ticking away in that race car. Your winner from last week looking to take his 2nd consecutive win, and I'm sure he's going to be trying to draft off everything and everybody right now. Maybe try to draft off maybe a couple of shadows off the corners if he can, as it looks like he might be coming onto pit road here as he had the chat open.
He's coming down pit road, yeah, definitely getting off the throttle on the brake. So that's going to be race leader Bobby Terrell coming down pit road. He's going to give up a 21-second lead to come down and top off on the fuel tank. 3 laps to go. Probably going to be a splash and go for him, and that might not cost him a whole lot of time. If he's very quick in and off pit road, he might not actually lose a whole lot of positions. He could even beat out, well, I wouldn't say he could beat out Josh Cheney. It's going to be hard to do. But now we look at Guy Snyder, who stays out. He's going to collect lap 79 and take over the lead. He has 8 seconds over Josh Cheney and 2 laps to go. He's going to have to save a lot.
Yeah, he's going to have to save a lot because your leaders are going to be coming here. Bobby Terrell coming off of pit road now. Josh Cheney does pass him right there, and you see Matt Lacrosse just passing the number 7 as well. So Guy Snyder, the 4th. Is he going to make it on the fuel? He'll come by this time and collect the white, but he might not be under his own power. I think he's at a fuel here going down to corner number 3 as he is slow and he is out of gas. I do believe he's sputtering in the number 33. He's going to stay out on the racetrack and hope for something here as the white flag will fly. 1 lap to go for the 33 of Guy Snyder. Here comes Cheney, though. Cheney going to take the lead here, I do believe.
He's 2.2 seconds back. It's going to be on whether Snyder can get going. I mean, he's slow on the racetrack, and he's saving. I mean, I can hear the throttle. He's still got power to the car, but I mean, here comes Cheney. So I mean, it's now or never. If he wants to win this event, he's going to have to hit, hammer down and stick to it. As here comes Cheney. He's going to have to hold off Cheney too. So it looks like that's what he's trying to do. So we'll have to see if he runs out of fuel off the corner. But he has. It looks like he has the lane. It looks like he might be out of fuel. Yeah, he's out of fuel off the corner. He comes down, blocks in. It looks like Cheney to the outside for the win.
Josh Cheney will take the victory. Matt Lacrosse will come home in position 3. Guy Snyder will come home in position number 2. So it looks like it saved enough for the second place spot. And there was one car there that also made a move. I believe it was Fleming, so he was a lap down trying to get that lap back. But Josh Cheney goes to victory lane, and you look at that move at the end of the race, you got to give it up to the driver of that number 33 for salvaging a second place finish. Great run for him, but it's Cheney who will be going to victory lane.
That it will. And I want to see where the points leader finished out. When we look at the 10, he comes home 10th. So points leader comes home 10th.
That's not bad considering where he was and where he was running in the running order. We've caught up with Josh Cheney, your winner. Josh, you're chasing down that 33 at a corner number 4. What was going through your mind when he was making those lane changes?
I was a little worried. I figured he saved enough to make it to the end, and yeah, I'm still shaking a little bit because I didn't know if he was going to make it or not.
A very good night for this number 11 team. You qualified up front, you raced up front all night long, and then you come home with the victory. How big is this win here tonight?
Pretty good. Actually, it's my first win with RSR, so pretty happy about it.
Mention the pit strategy. We had one caution here this evening on lap number 30. How big were you thinking this race might go green the rest of the way?
I was kind of hoping for a little caution at the beginning of after the restart, and I knew pitting early and then diving it in pretty much into pit road as hard as I could until the last minute to break, and I beat CJ out. So
when we look at the schedule next week, are you ready to turn right?
I can try it, I guess you could say. I'm not very good. Look at my past. My mind just went blank. Past couple races at the short tracks, not very good at those, and then pretty much right-handers are not pretty good. My favorite, so.
I know you got some teammates you want to thank, some sponsors that might be on the car, and you got to thank that fuel man as well for putting all the fuel in the car. Who makes it happen for you?
I just want to thank my teammates, Douglas Wyatt. Without him, I wouldn't be a part of this team. So, and CJ for working with me, Matt, working with me too. So.
There's your winner this evening, car number 11, Josh Cheney. And Dakota, I believe you've caught up with the guy who nearly saved enough fuel to win this race.
Yeah, and that was Guy Snyder, so close. Just not even a quarter of a lap short. I mean, we're just at the start-finish line, just barely missed it off of turn number 4. How close were you on fuel, or how close did you think you were coming off turn number 4? And had he not have been so close to you, do you think you could have made it?
Oh yeah, definitely. Considering I got second. I'm happy with that. 2 cars passed me, and I thought both of them were positioned, so I thought I'd drop them to third. But yeah, it's just, man, how much gas do you need?
And Guy, when you come next week, it's going to be a road course. You're going to be any good there?
I'm actually not going to be running next week. As of now, I'm on a week-to-week basis. Glenn Campbell let me run for him last week, and Dave Lonza let me step in this week. He had some other plans, and he just set me in his car, and I guess I can't complain about a second. It was a lot of fun. This league was great. I don't run it every week, but no yellows, and a lot of clean racing out there. It was fun.
And I know Monday night you had two third place finishes in a row. You didn't quite get it last week, but you got it in the Thursday night series. Does that count?
It does. Yeah, it's anytime televised race. Everybody's putting forth their best effort. You get a top 5. I'll take them anytime I can get them.
All right, any shout-outs you want to throw out there real quick?
Yeah, I got to thank Dave Lonza for letting me run his Wheaties car. Hopefully it's helped him in points. I don't really know what the situation is. He just kind of, said, "You want to run?" I said, "Yep," and here I am. I got to thank Glenn Campbell. I also got to thank Keith Brooks. He kind of slipped that he was turning his car off, and I started doing that. And I'll tell you what, I should have started earlier. It was a shame, but and I got to thank you guys, ETV. RSR, all the good admins, and we'll try to get them next time I'm on track.
All right, thank you, Guy, and look forward to seeing Monday night with the Real Sim Racing Full Throttle Cut Series sponsored by Balboa Racing. That was your second place finisher. Now we go to our third. Who's standing by with him, Terry?
Matt Lacrosse comes home with position number 3, and I'm sure it's not the finish that you wanted out of this race, but there was a lot of close racing through it, 80 laps here.
Yeah, I kind of messed up myself on pit road, slid through my pit box, and that cost me a little time on the track. I think that cost me about the time that me and Josh were apart, but I'm glad Josh won. Me, him, and CJ all just were kind of trying to stay nose to nose, just nose to bumper, just to pull away from everybody. And there in the beginning, before that first caution, it was really working. And then we had to make them pit stops, and I kind of screwed up. But yeah, good day all in all.
A lot of green flag racing in this event as well. You mentioned pulling away in that first segment of the race. Caution flag comes out. How much were you banking on this going the rest of the way green?
You're never really sure. Things can always start off good, and then you never know what can happen. But we were prepared. We were prepared to go green the rest of the way, and we were planning our pit stop and our fuel strategy and everything, and finding out what we could do. So it wasn't really that surprising, but I'm glad there was only one.
You chip away a little bit on position number 3 in the standings, should gain a couple more points and put you a little bit closer to Bobby Terrell in the standings, with CJ Levere up there as well, battling for the top spot there. How close are you thinking points? How big are you thinking points here on race 16?
Well, unfortunately, here towards the end of August, beginning of September, I'm going to have to step away for quite a few weeks. So the points I'm really not thinking about. At least I try not to. I try to tell myself not to worry about the points because you're going to miss so many races. I got a lot of moving to do here in the next towards the beginning of September. So I'll be back after that, and we'll see where we are. And so yeah, I'm really not thinking about the points too much. Just trying to have fun.
And try to grab as many checkered flags as we can. The next question is, can we get one at a road course next week at Road America?
I don't know. I'm not really sure.
Going to be an exciting race there. I know you got some sponsors on the car, and I know you got a crew that helps you each week. Who makes it happen for you?
I'd like to thank Quick Car Racing Products, Hippies Paint Shop, Derek Spear Designs, Inside Sim Racing News. I'd like to thank you guys up in the booth. You do a great job. I'd like to thank John and all the boys over at RSR. They do a great job too. And I want to thank all my teammates, CJ and Josh especially, for what we were able to do today.
That's Matt Lacrosse, your third place finisher. Dakota, final thoughts on this one. Exciting race, a lot of green flag racing, and what we're accustomed to seeing essentially with this Asphalt Assault series. I guess Dakota stepped away for just a few moments, so we'll take the opportunity to thank Inside Sim Racing for coming on board. Darren and Sean have the Yellow Pages Sim Racing. Be sure to check them out over at Inside Sim Racing, product reviews, all that fun stuff. ISRTV.com, place to go for that. DerekSpearDesigns.com for all your sim racing components, your button boxes, your shifters, all the wheel components that you need. DerekSpearDesigns.com, the place to go. That's going to do it for us here this week on ETV Live, powered by the HD Radio Network. So for Laura Lawson and Dakota Ehrman, my name is Tim Terry, saying we'll see you next week at Road America when we say, let's go racing, keep the hammer down, and we'll see you at the track.